Robert, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Hey, I mean, I've seen you a long time since, I guess, Dearly Beloved. But was that your first show ever at the Crighton?
At the Crighton, yes, it was.
Really?
It was.
Because it seemed like you've done other stuff with Travis, right?
I worked with him at Sam Houston State University, actually.
Oh, really?
There.
Okay.
He came in and helped out with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Came in?
He was there working with Maureen McIntyre was the actual director.
Oh, okay.
He came in and helped out with it.
Really? Mm-hmm. I've never heard of that before. I mean, heard of that. Usually you think university, they've got all the resources they want. But I guess it's still back to, it's a people business, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who you like to work with. So how did you get into theater?
Honestly, it's just because I moved around so much.
What?
I was a military brat.
Okay, yes.
Okay, my dad was Air Force for 19 years.
Sure.
And, I tried to get into sports, tried to get into other things.
Yeah.
But, when you're only there for a year, maybe two, it's kind of hard to keep up with things, especially when they're not around.
Sure.
I spent a year playing cricket in England.
Really?
My dad was stationed there during Desert Shield, the first Gulf War and stuff. And anyway, so when I got back to the States, I tried soccer and basketball and stuff like that. But no matter where we moved, it's always a different sport.
Right.
And so
really, different sport.
Yeah,
so cricket in England. Where else would you go? Did you have to try different sport?
Well, when we were in Kansas, that's when I picked up soccer.
Okay.
And then we came down to Texas, and I didn't know anything about football, American football.
Right.
So I went to basketball.
Right.
And I actually got onto a high school team. I went to 3 different high schools.
Right.
The first high school I went to was small, and I got onto the team because just about anybody who tried out made it. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to a larger school, Spring Woods High School in Houston, and found out I wasn't any good.
Okay, well.
But no matter where I was, there was always theater going on.
Right. So that was the constant. Interesting.
Community theaters, school theaters. In Kansas as well, I got involved with a theater troupe. It was children's theater. We did shows like Peter Pan, Heidi, Tom Sawyer, and a couple others. Can't remember, but yeah. And we did those down at Century 21 near Wichita, which is a pretty good sized theater there. Right. And then we moved.
Right.
So,
well, that's interesting because we taught oil brats, military brats. Basically, because they're moving all the time, they find different ways of coping, making friends and stuff like that. So for you, does that mean your family got closer because you had to, or what did that mean for you as a military brat?
Our family was pretty close.
Right.
It was because for the first 10, 15 years, we lived on base.
Really? Okay.
So while we were there, everyone knew that anybody could leave the next week.
Right.
So the friends you made were never that close.
Right.
Because they knew they could just go away anytime.
Sure. Right.
But, you're still friendly, you still made friends.
Absolutely.
But the only constant you had was your family.
Okay, yeah. Well, so that's what, and I guess I hear that a lot too, is that you become closer as a family because you have to. There's no choice. So you got into theater. There seemed to be a constant there. Is anything in particular theater that you just like being on stage or backstage stuff? Not really?
I like being on stage.
Okay. Yeah.
The lights, the sound, the singing, the dancing, the whole bit.
The applause.
It's really a special experience for me. I just get up there and I get ready, and for the longest time, just the idea of putting whatever was going on with your life away,
right,
and being a completely different person,
right,
and doing it well,
right.
It's amazing the different characters and parts and different experiences you have on stage,
right,
that you can't have
in real life.
In real life, absolutely.
It's not allowed, not acceptable, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I played Caiaphas in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Right.
I was the high priest that got Jesus killed.
Right.
And that's not a happy part.
No. No.
But it's
you're not exactly the hero.
No, exactly.
Right.
And so when you go in life, you're expected to abide by certain norms.
Yes.
Act a certain way around people.
Yes.
You can't exactly go out on the street and call for somebody's death.
Right.
But in this play, that was a character I was able to do.
Right.
So it's interesting how that works out.
Well, let's talk about that because that brings up to two things. Number one, what do you do in real life?
I teach theater at Moorhead Junior High in Conroe ISD.
How many years now?
This is my 4th year.
Wow. And so when you work with them, I guess, what techniques do you like to teach them for getting into characters and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, With junior high level students, I do a lot of monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
That a lot of them don't have the experiences and the ideas to pull out of themselves to be a certain type of character.
Sure.
And so I try to give them some ideas about, okay, well, what would you do if this was happening in your life?
Right.
Or what would you do if this was the way people were treating you?
Right.
How would you respond to that? And of course, their immediate response is, well, I'd get up in their face and I'd punch them. I'm like, okay.
What else?
Let's try something else. Okay.
Other than the obvious response, what else could you do? Yeah.
So with a lot of it, they don't know a lot of societal norms because their norms come from school.
Right.
And that's a whole different world.
Yes.
And so I do a lot of, okay, I want to see it done like this. Show me how you would do it if you were trying to do what I was doing. Right. And so I do a lot. I pretty much act out almost every part. Right. And show them. Sure. And then I get feedback from them and we come up with ideas that are a pretty good mix of what I showed them and what they come up with. Sure. So it's not exactly Stanislavski method here, but...
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You only have them for a short time. Right. 2 years, right? 2 years. Or is it 3 years? Right. 2. But for you, I mean, your acting methods must have evolved over time, too. So what do you like? How do you like to approach a character?
I'm a little cerebral with it. Some people, they put on the costume and they just feel it happen.
That's outside in, right?
Right. I really need to try to figure out what's going on.
So you're an inside-out man. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I really like to take the opportunity to become somebody else. Yes. To really take whatever I'm going on with my life, put it to the side, and really think about, okay, if this were my life, right, what could I do with it? Right. And I have to stay within, the script. Sure. And so I have to come up with a reason why I am staying in the script. Right. What would cause me to react the way the script says I react. Right. And I move with it like that.
Do you have a preference for musical theater versus just straight plays?
I enjoy both.
You enjoy both, okay.
Now, when I went to school at Sam Houston, I have a degree in musical theater.
Yes.
So I've always sung. Yeah. It was a family thing ever since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And my mom was a ballet dancer. Wow. I have a sister that's a ballet dancer. So dance has always been around. Mm-hmm. I've never been terribly great at it, but it's always been there. And so I'd like to think I move well for a big guy. And I've got rhythm. Right. And if you show me the steps, I can pick them up. Right. I had to take tap classes and ballet classes and jazz and modern and things like that while I was in school. That's part of the curriculum. Absolutely. Yeah. And I had the choice, when you go there, you can choose to emphasize in a certain area of theater as either acting, singing, or dancing when you're in musical theater. And I could sing pretty well, and I could act pretty well, and so I chose dance because that was my weakest point. So I spent a lot of time in the dance building trying to catch up with people.
That's interesting. That means you went out of your way to work on your weakness. Right. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily do that. I mean, well, some people said that's obvious, but I don't think it's obvious. I think some people said I would stick with my strengths, and you'll work on them in your spare time or something like that. So you actually work on your weakness. Well, consider weakness.
Right. I mean, because I really do enjoy. I really enjoy musical theater. Right. I like the idea that you have so much emotion that you have to sing about it. Right. Or you're going to express yourself with dance as opposed to talking about it. Right. And so I knew that's something I enjoyed doing. I wanted to do more of. Right. So I had to become a better dancer.
Wow. Oh, the triple threat. He can sing, act, and dance.
One of these days I may learn to play an instrument well enough that I can put that in there
and do that too.
Because nowadays it's there's so many shows now that you see where you have actors, dancers, singers, and they're also playing their own accompaniment.
Yes. Well, I guess in a lot of the tribute type shows, right? Mm-hmm. I can't even think of, so I'm sure that, even the latest, rendition they did of Sweeney Todd. Yes. They had. That's right.
Yes, they did their own, they did on stage for themselves. Right. Small cast, no orchestra, it was all there.
Wow.
It's a great idea if you
can pull it off.
Talented people,
So what musical plays have you done?
Okay. Starting with, the things as a kid, Peter Pan. Yeah. I played John, the kid with the hat and the umbrella, singing those songs. I went through, in high school, I did Grease, right, which was, pretty standard high school fare. We did Guys and Dolls, and I actually repeated those.
Oh, you like Guys and Dolls, huh? Oh, yeah.
let's see, did a funny thing happen on the way to the forum?
Oh, yes.
Which isn't typical high school fare, but it was
but it's funny as all get out anyway.
Absolutely. Then once I moved out of high school and went to college, I did my first show with Sam was Jesus Christ Superstar.
Really? Yes.
And so I got to jump right into that part.
Mm-hmm.
We also did 42nd Street.
That's fun.
I got to go back and do Grease and Guys and Dolls with a company that was set up in the Woodlands. And the company was DLP Productions.
Yep, I know DLP. Yes.
And it's since closed, and I think the person that was in charge of it moved to Utah or something. So he's teaching music up there now. So. Okay. Anyway, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just let's see, I did the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Done that one. I played the senator. It's a funny show. We did the Full Monty.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
That's Sam?
It's Sam. That
Everything?
Surprised me.
The full nudity, the whole bit?
Well, I mean, they wore little stinky things, but yeah. I was not one of the the guys that actually get up there and strip everything off. Right. I was one of the other characters, and I go and audition for that, and they tell me to go away, so I did. But that's another interesting show. So, again, doing college theater is different than doing community theater or other things, because you can get away with shows there that are just meant to push the envelope, that are meant to absolutely push the students by certain types of parts and certain things that you're doing in the show that you wouldn't normally do. Right. And then you come to
well, it's a time to experiment, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're experimenting not just with shows but technique. Right, so you're pushing yourself in many different. I think it's an absolute perfect time to be learning different things. I mean, you need to do that sometime, and hopefully you can do it somewhat in community theater, but it's a little more difficult.
Because in community theater, you have to do shows that people in your community
are going to come
enjoy and come see.
Right. You don't want to piss them off too badly.
Exactly. So there's some shows that you really can't. No. You just can't do. We're not going to be doing Spring Awakening anytime soon.
No. Okay, so unless it's the midnight show. But anyway, there are some places that do that, though. I know there's some theaters that do a midnight show, and specific. It's this is adult themed, so
and you have to put the warnings out.
You put every little warning out. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Anyway, are there any shows that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
At some point, I would like to do Rocky Horror.
Really?
Really. It's one of those shows that I grew up watching, the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Tim Curry and all that. And honestly, I would love to give that a shot.
That's funny. The thing is, I know the music, but I've never seen the show, and I've seen the books about all the things that that go with the show that you're supposed to say and do. Throw and all
exactly.
There's a whole book. It's like amazing. It's like it's a show within a show, or
it's a cult classic. And
absolutely.
The opportunity to be part of that, just the history of it and the cult classic, the whole bit would just be amazing.
So when you have time off, which probably isn't much, what do you do?
I have a family, a wife and 2 kids. So
that's enough said.
One that's 6 years old, and she's in first grade now, and the other is 4 months.
Wow.
And so when I'm not here or at work,
you're there.
Home. So,
So is your wife in the theater?
No, she's not. She comes and supports.
Of course. Yeah.
She was into arts. She was also a dancer.
Oh, really?
And she studied dance and has a degree in that from Sam Houston.
Right.
Now she teaches a dances PE class at Lynn Lucas Middle School. Is where she works. Okay. She teaches a science class there, and she's also a cheer coach.
Okay. So does she know Susan Burge?
Yes, she does.
Okay, so they know because
I exchange props and stuff with Susan Burge. So
okay, all right. Well, I know because I think when Carolyn had Michael, that made it really hard for her to do acting or anything. Especially when they're really young.
This was a big deal for me to come and audition for this show. I heard we were doing it, and this was one of the shows I wanted to do, just because it's so hilarious, And so I said, "Hey, how about I go do this show? What do you think?" And she said, "Well, you can go audition. Maybe you'll get in." I'm like, "Well, there's not a whole lot of singing and dancing guys in the Conroe area, so I'll probably get in somewhere."
You were alerting her to this, yes?
Okay, and I was, I really want to do this show, And she said, we can make it work. Let's go for it. And so she was supportive, and I came, and now I'm doing the show.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can find some way that she can become active too. Obviously,
Oh yeah.
you know, and it's always nice when your kids enjoy it too. It's not always the case, but it would be nice. You know, you do something that you enjoy doing, and then they can enjoy doing it too. And you can do it as family. There aren't that many things you can do as family.
That's true.
Anymore. I mean, we barely eat dinner as family. We don't even watch TV as family anymore, right?
Different shows that we enjoy. Also,
exactly.
Earlier today, I was watching Into the Woods with my 6-year-old. So she's already got a little taste of theater, and she likes the stories and stuff. So maybe she'll move into that.
That is wild. What's your family? Are they close by then? Or no?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad and my mom, they live in Panorama Village.
Okay. Oh, that's not very far at all.
Not at all.
No. Okay.
And Callie's parents live in Willis.
Not far at all either.
So
you got built-in babysitters.
We do. Absolutely. Actually, my mom watches my 4-month-old right now while I'm at work.
Really?
And I go pick her up and then...
Well, that's nice that you have family watching.
Nearby.
Family.
No,
okay? Not just daycare. I mean, I know some people have to, but...
Right. And so, I have more family. I have 5 sisters.
Wow.
And most of them have moved off.
Okay.
I've got one living in Iowa, another living in Idaho. Then I've got a sister that's a little north of Dallas, and another sister that is actually 2 sisters living north of Dallas, and one that lives in Conroe. So I only have one sister that still lives in this area.
Okay. But like I said, you've got both sets of parents, so that's good.
Right.
That comes in very, very useful.
Absolutely.
Especially if you need a date night.
Yeah, we actually used that. We went and saw Les Mis when it came out.
Oh, yes. What'd you think?
I enjoyed it.
Yes.
Of course, I need to watch it again. The first time I watched it, all I was doing was sitting there looking for differences.
Yes.
Which,
So you've seen it many times, apparently.
I've seen it on stage, and then I went and saw the movie, and I was looking for differences. And, and of course, the setting's beautiful.
Of course.
They have it.
They spent a lot of money. It better be beautiful. It better be beautiful.
And so I was looking for places, and then there's a few songs that were cut in different places and things. And so I need to watch it again just for the sake of the movie.
I think you'll enjoy it more the second time. Carolyn saw it twice. The first time she saw it, she didn't enjoy it. The second time, I think she was more forgiving, and she enjoyed it a lot more. It also helps you sit back. I don't know if I get motion sickness if I sit too close to those screens.
Really?
Yeah. I can get seasick, basically just sitting motion sick if I'm too close. I watched Transformers, I think the second one, and I got sick because I was that close. I needed to move back.
Huh.
Now, it's not that big a deal in Les Mis, but still, it's kind of, I think you will enjoy it a little more if you sit back. I've always told people, too, I've seen Les Mis like 4 or 5 times on stage. Don't go in with high expectations, and you'll enjoy the heck out of it.
Exactly.
It's not like they did bad. Okay,
no,
don't get me wrong.
They didn't.
I'll tell you who did fantastic. I was just awestruck. Is the revolutionaries, the college kids.
The kids. Yeah, or the
awesome.
The kids.
And of course, I found out, that's the London cast. Well, duh, of course they're going to do well. But no, I really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed them. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy Hugh Jackman, or any other folks. I did, they're big star, and I enjoyed what they did. But yeah, that college cast, or the London cast, oh my goodness, awesome.
Yeah. And I knew kind of what to expect with some of them.
Yeah.
I've already seen movies where Anne Hathaway sings.
Yeah.
I knew she could sing.
Well, we knew
be
that.
Fine.
Right.
Amanda Seyfried, I wasn't so sure because I hadn't heard her sing before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And Russell Crowe,
he did
he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. He did okay for what he did. Okay, we weren't expecting great things, but apparently he really enjoys karaoke. They used to have,
for him.
Apparently,
Absolutely.
On Friday nights during the show, they would just kind of lighten things up. They would have karaoke night. He would host it, and they couldn't sing their own songs. They had to sing someone else's. Someone else's, or just something else completely. And so apparently they had a good time with that. So I'm glad to hear that.
I knew what to expect with Hugh Jackman.
Sure. Yeah.
I listened to The Boy from Oz when that came out.
Yeah.
I saw him in the filmed version of the London cast of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he plays Curly, and he sings all through that.
Wow.
And so I knew that he could pull it off.
Right.
So, you expected some things, and some things that, like I said, I need to watch it again without picking it apart and just watch the movie.
Just enjoy it. Yeah. So actually, I went there. It's a 4 hanky jobber. Yes. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. I think. So, other than that particular musical, of course, that was the big movie, musical, of course.
Yeah.
But what other things do you like to do in your time off? You don't get very much. We already said that. Establish you got a family, they keep you busy. But you must have some things to kind of re-energize you. What things are kind of at the core that kind of help to re-energize you?
I'm honestly, I'm a movie buff. I
really?
love watching movies.
Okay.
I've got
any kind of movies. What kind of movies?
Well, I enjoy good mystery action flicks. It depends on my mood at the time.
Sure.
I've got my collection of DVDs that date back to as soon as DVDs were being made. I've got VHSs from before that. Yep. I have not upgraded to Blu-ray yet. Oh my goodness.
Oh man, you have to.
I know.
And the thing is, I was a big anti-Blu-ray, so I am not moving to Blu-ray because I'm always the last to do things. I'm a tech guy, and yet I'm the last to do these things. I don't think we got audio CDs for like 10 or 15 years after they came out. I just refused until they got cheap. Like Laser Light would come out like $5 CDs. Okay, I'm getting it, and then I love it. The Blu-ray, that's why we're doing this in HD. Once you see it, you go, oh my goodness. Ooh, I can see his hairs. Ooh,
right.
You can see every little...
The thing is, I mean, I owned a Betamax.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you owned a Betamax.
I owned a Betamax. I had, the Star Wars trilogy on Betamax. Right. I had all this stuff,
You still have it?
No, I don't.
Oh, man.
When finally I moved over to VHS,
right.
I was, very disgruntled with that, and I just kind of got rid of it all.
Sure.
Man. And so when the whole HD DVD Blu-ray thing came out, I was like, I'm just going to wait.
Right.
And I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
I waited out HD DVD, which has been years now.
Right.
But, I need to buy a new TV that can handle a Blu-ray.
You know what?
I still have an old television. It's useless till I get a better TV.
It's already changed. We got a screen, like a flat screen TV a couple of years back.
Right.
I'm turning on Netflix. I wanted to play something that says, you do not have 3D capability.
Right.
What? It's like, what? Apparently that didn't go over too well, actually. So I guess they're trying some different things now. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the whole home 3D thing. I don't want to watch anything in my house I have to put glasses on for.
Yeah.
And so until they can do it all within the actual unit itself,
right?
I'm not too thrilled.
So how far? I mean, you don't care? I mean, like you talking like movies from like the 30s and 40s kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, really I've got the Bugsy Berkeley films.
Yes.
Sunset Boulevard. I've got the original Star Wars trilogy. I didn't buy the last ones. I just didn't like them.
Well, he keeps changing them.
Yeah,
and that's why I asked you about the Betamax.
The old ones.
I saw Star Wars. Now they call it Star Wars 4 when it came out in 1977. I had the VHS tape. There were certain special effects he did, and of course Lucas is never satisfied with his movies.
He's a tinkerer,
and so he keeps tinkering. So every time you get a different version, the graphics have changed. They may have even removed actors digitally and some. Added some, and like, what the heck are you doing? I want to remember the way it was. Mm-hmm. Now that's just me. Yeah. I wanted to remember the way it was. If I want to see this new version, I want to buy it separately. Honestly, if I want it,
I want it on the special features.
Yes,
I want to see the movie as it is,
right,
and then go to special features. Alternate ending, different scenes, cut scenes, stuff like that. Right. I mean, I enjoy those things. A lot of people don't watch them.
I love it. I love it. I love the talkovers. Sometimes
the commentary.
Yeah, the commentary is more interesting than the show itself, which is really sad. I was watching a Babylon 5 DVD, and I love Babylon 5. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But then I listened to the commentary where the actors were talking about their performances, what they're doing now as they're talking. It was hilarious. I love that stuff.
Absolutely.
So no, I don't know. I love it. Well, so you're a big movie buff. Would you like to make a movie?
I'd love to make a movie. Absolutely. I actually, while I was in college, I auditioned for it was a short film that was being shot in Houston.
Yes.
There's going to be a big mystery murder thing, and they're looking for somebody to play the scary killer person.
Right.
And I'm a big guy, and I have somewhat dark features, and I thought, I could do it.
Right.
So I went and auditioned, and things were going really well, and the funding folded.
Oh.
They couldn't get something paid for, something wasn't going to happen, and the movie fell apart and never happened.
Well, keep that in mind, because there's definitely things we want to do that way too. I found out someone was telling me there was a whole industry of export to DVD. And it's not, when I say export to DVD, not within the U.S. It's for foreign consumption. And they make money. I don't mean a lot of money. You probably never heard of these movies, but they make money. Yeah. So I guess if you spend $50,000 to make a movie and you make $100,000 or gross $100,000, you're still net $50,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you do it enough times, like the old movies, like the whole Hollywood style where you just cranked out movies, now Bollywood almost style.
Right.
What do you care? Now if you want to become a big star,
you get your stock actors.
Yes,
people use every time. You just rerun things.
Exactly.
That's how they did it.
And that's how they did it. Okay, good, bad. It doesn't really matter. But to be able to work on your craft, and it is a different craft. Absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, film acting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of standing still that long. Because when you have the camera set up,
yes,
and you can't move too close, can't move too far back, you have your little box of area where you can move.
Right.
It's so adverse to theater acting.
Oh, yes.
Where you have to use the stage.
Yes.
Move around, move upstage, move downstage, move. Take both sides. You have to fill the stage with your presence.
Right.
And here you have your box and you stay in it.
That's right. Yeah. Or on stage, teaching people to project.
Right.
Is a big deal. And in film, you don't really need to do
You don't.
that. Because every little thing gets picked up. No, except especially in HD, everything gets picked up.
Get your little boom mic in there and you're good.
That's right. It is that very different. But I think it's something we definitely would like to try.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Hey, keep me in mind. I'd love to.
Absolutely.
Really
I think it'd be good. And I think if nothing else, for educational opportunities for the kids. Well, for us, for that matter.
And it's always nice to have that one piece of work that you've done that you can go back to and look at.
Yes.
In theater is very, very short-lived. I mean,
it's very ephemeral. Exactly. It's there and gone. All you got is your memory.
And so in film, you get that opportunity. And some people don't like to watch themselves, and
I don't
understand that. I get that, but I've never had everything I've ever done.
Right.
I've never been filmed.
Really?
Really? I mean,
never.
The things at Sam Houston, of course, it's against the law, and you don't want you do it.
Right.
Other shows everywhere I've worked,
they've
been really strict about you do not film this.
Right. Well, the thing is, even when you have access to the authors, I mean, like when we did like the Holmes, Jones, Hope and Wooten type series,
right?
We know the authors, and we would ask them, and they said we don't even have the right to give you that right, which is amazing. They've given up that right to some bigger publishing house,
to whatever the
exactly, and they control the right whether or not you can make a mechanical reproduction. That would be a DVD,
right?
And that's sad that even the authors doesn't have control.
They can't do it. That's right.
That's amazing
because a lot of authors they write for a company, and that company actually holds the rights to whatever they do.
Right.
And they still get paid and stuff like that, but it's a whole different system.
Absolutely. Well, you're in the educational system, so we got to talk about this.
Sure.
What are the weaknesses right now that you see in the American educational system?
Oh my goodness.
We could be here a long time.
No,
but top 5.
The biggest problem I see is the idea that every student is has to be. It's not every student has to be on the same level.
Now, there's only one level, right?
Right. Now, it's not that they have to be taught on the same level. You always come up with ideas and ways of teaching.
Right.
Different tactics for different students, visual learners, auditory learners.
Right.
But they all have to be taught to the same level.
Right. It doesn't seem, see, when I went to school, they had vocational training.
They did.
And so at least there was a semblance of a non-college track. And I don't think there is is there such a thing?
I've seen a lot of schools get rid of their mechanics classes.
Yeah.
There's a class you used to be able to take to become a pharmacy technician, because that's a right out of high school job.
Right.
And there's a lot of those disappearing because we were told to push college.
Right.
Push college.
Right.
And now you go to college and you have a hard time getting a job.
Right. So where if a plumber, people say, "Oh, that's a dirty job." No, actually, there's some clean room plumber jobs that you can get in electronics industries, make really good money, and you never get dirty. Because they're talking about clean room, for electronics, that thing. So there are plenty of jobs that don't require college educations. I'm not saying you don't have to know stuff. You got to know plenty.
Oh, absolutely. But there's also certifications you can get.
Right.
There's so many computer certifications out there.
Exactly.
There's so many. You say plumbing, but I mean, there's plumbing with water, there's plumbing with gas, there's liquid cooling rooms. There's there's so many different things you can do with all of these different jobs.
Right, absolutely, and there's no way. What's the path? There's no obvious path. I mean, no apprenticeship that I know of. I mean, maybe there is, but I don't know what it is, and I certainly don't hear about it in high schools.
Have all but disappeared.
That's incredible.
I mean, because there was a time when you would learn something from a neighborhood friend or your father or your mother. You learned what they did, and you took what you learned and you expanded on it when it was your turn,
right.
And so people steadily were getting better,
right.
But now, you go to school, you get taught the exact same thing everybody else gets taught.
You don't have to make your lessons plan because the state has made them for you.
And then you go into the workforce.
Yes.
And everybody's going in at such a level where, there's not a whole lot of difference depending. You can hire this guy, they got the same references. It's the same.
Right.
Nobody goes in there and gets the actual hands-on work as often.
Right.
I mean, there are internships in different jobs,
sure,
but you don't see them as much.
Anyway, that's my pet peeve. Anyway, what are the good things, I guess, about the American educational system? Because you've traveled a lot of different places, so you've had a chance to see a lot of different, hopefully, different educational systems.
Well, my personal experience, I only had one really bad experience with a teacher ever.
Right.
It was right when I came back to the States.
Right.
And my kindergarten, first, second, and third grade were all in England.
Right.
So I learned to spell in England.
Oh dear. Okay.
And I came back to the States.
Yes.
And this teacher made it her personal goal in life.
Yes.
To reteach me how to spell because I was doing it wrong. And so I spelled color with a U, tire with a Y, all these different things.
Right.
And she would red mark through them and say this is wrong. I was getting bad grades all the time. Just. I knew I was spelling it right. I was like, this is correct. Thank you very much. But, that was a grumpy time. I wasn't happy with that. But now, now that I'm on the other side, almost every teacher I know wants to be there.
Well, that's good.
Everyone I talk to, they have, one or two project students they're trying to help.
Right.
That, they see they're having problems and they want to try to figure out a way to help them.
Right.
And every teacher I've seen, they're constantly trying to go to different conferences and different things, trying to find out a better way to teach these kids because it's so difficult to teach so many different students in one room.
Well, let's talk about that. How do you motivate a kid to learn something that you want them to learn?
You have to make it make sense to them, not the actual subject matter,
right?
Just the fact that they're learning it,
right?
The kids that I teach, they don't choose to be in my class.
What?
As an elective in junior high,
right?
It's assigned.
Really.
So classes like art and theater and typing, technology classes, stuff like that. It's basically we are there to help fit the schedule of the main courses, the math, science, stuff like that. And so the kids don't choose to be in my class; they're just there.
Okay.
So my job is to get them in there and hopefully get them interested in what I'm teaching them.
Sure.
Which is really difficult sometimes because a lot of these kids they could go their whole lives without ever seeing anything live, ever. And, they think acting is stupid. So how do you get that kid to participate in class? Well,
it's the iPod, the iPhone generation. And it sucks you in very easily. Look around a restaurant, for instance. What are people doing? Or the kids. Forget the restaurant. Look, what are kids doing? They got their heads down and they're looking at some electronic device. It, right?
Absolutely.
And that's entertainment to them. That's sad. I'm saying it can't be entertaining, but there's other things to life than this little device that you hold in your hand.
Yeah, and a little 3x4 picture isn't that great.
I just ooh, look, I'm at this restaurant. Click.
So the biggest problem I have is just getting them to want to do anything.
Right.
And so I do my best. I always start out with different theater games that I know are fun for generally anybody.
Sure. Right.
I get them up there usually with a lot of kids. It's not threatening. It's just don't be scared of this. If you appeal to that part of them, if they want to prove that they're not scared, they're more willing to try things.
Okay.
And so I practically have to accuse them of being scared of getting up there and performing something.
If it works, to get them to do something, again, it's just back, that's probably a class in itself. How do you motivate people to do things when they don't necessarily want to?
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's an amazing effort, and I'm glad you have a lot of dedicated teachers in that one. And I hope that you don't have to fight administration too much.
Honestly, like I said, because of the type of class I teach, I don't have built-in lesson plans.
Right.
I have certain things that I have to go over.
Right. That's good.
And they say, okay, as long as you touch those things and nobody gets hurt, we'll leave you alone.
That's nice.
And so I basically, so I go into a little theater history, go to some Greek theater, some medieval, some Renaissance stuff, and modern. I go into some different acting things, short scenes, duets, monologues. I start with more people up there and work my way down because they're more comfortable with their friends and stuff like that, and and so as long as I hit those certain aspects that they want me to go over. I basically write my own lesson plans and do everything I want to. Nice. Which is great, and that gives me that freedom. Now, my first year I was there, I was scared to death because I had no idea how to write a lesson plan.
But but before the days of when lesson plans were written for us.
That's what everybody was.
That's what everybody did. So the first couple of years was kind of figuring out what worked, what didn't work, what's the proper timing, And
I'm still tweaking, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely,
and, my class, it's only a one semester class.
Right.
And so, after Christmas, I just went back, and now I have a whole new set of students that I'm starting over with. And that gives me a lot of opportunities to tweak and change things. Sure. The first semester, this was great. The kids had so much fun with this. I'm going to keep this. This bombed. Okay, I thought it was going to be fun. Apparently, it's not.
Okay, so it's out.
Okay. So I really get the chance to change things and make the little switches here and there that really work out a lot more often than other teachers do. They have to finish out their year and then start again with a new year. Right. I get half a year, make some changes, half a year, make some changes. So I've really, I've gone through, this is going to be 4 years. This is my 8th set of students that I've been able to work with. And so I've been able to make a lot of the changes I want to.
Wow. Are there places you want to go that you haven't been yet?
New York.
Yeah, you haven't been
I've never been to New York.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Travel around the world. Never been to New York.
That's wild. You've been in places you haven't been to New York yet. Oh my goodness.
There's a couple places I want to go back. Because I was very young when we were there. When we were stationing, I got to go to visit Wales. I want to go back there. Check out some of the castles and things they have. Yep. I want to go to Ireland and Scotland. We got, family heritage there, things like that. And I would love to go to New York and see a show. That would be a great experience.
It is a great experience. You know what? It's funny. When I grew up, we would go on vacation to New York all the time. But we never went to see a show. Right. And so now that we go there, we go specifically to do that. See a show. I mean, now that you're older, you get to do all the things you wanted to do, or maybe that you used to want to do as a kid. Well, now you got the money. Well, sort of. So, so now you can go do those things. And so we take all the tours, the touristy kind of things, even though we used to, be up there all the time. See a show, of course. Got to see a show. And now, hopefully, we've got friends up there. So sometimes we'll go visit them as well. So they'll say, hey, what are you doing here? So anyway, New York is, it's a great place. Absolutely. Don't want to live there.
I really don't.
I don't want to live there.
Everything I've heard, I've got friends that were at college with me. They're now up there trying to make it in the business.
Really? Yes.
And they're
it's tough.
They're living with friends on couches and working wherever they can, and then auditioning all the time. Right. And by the time I graduated college, I already had a wife and a daughter. Right. And I knew that was not the life I was going to have. Right. Right. And so that's why I turned to education and teaching theater and things like that. And so I can't see. I love theater. I love acting. Oh, sure. I just can't see that lifestyle of the nomadic. I'm going to live wherever anybody can let me stay and go audition all the time and feel wonderfully rejected and just.
It's tough, I mean, the odds of making it are really slim.
They are.
They're really slim because they got thousands of bodies to choose from, literally, right? Right. And a lot of them are probably really good. So, and then of course it's the connection thing too,
Who you know.
Just amazing. So anyway, hey, well, I'm glad we've had here. We're going to definitely have to come back. Going to ask the question we ask everyone. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to the pearly gates?
I really don't know. I could.
Maybe that's not a bad thing. Because a lot of times we talk about, I think we have a preconceived notion of what we think God is or isn't. And And hopefully he's better, way better than anything that we can possibly imagine.
Absolutely.
So hopefully he will come and surprise you. Maybe he'll have a wonderful sense of humor, or who knows? Maybe he'll give you a bear hug, So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think the surprise part, yeah.
Is it good? Do you like surprises?
Usually.
Usually. If they're good surprises.
It's a good or bad surprise.
So, you really look like that?
Exactly. So
I'm sure he'll say welcome. I'm sure he'll give you a bear hug or something like that. But who knows? Who knows what it'll be?
Okay.
Thank you for being here. We'll see you around. Thank you.